Hi, I am Minakatan Soranki, Associate Professor, Shikha Anusandhan deemed to be University. Today in this presentation, we'll discuss something about money supply. In this presentation, we'll discuss how credit is created by the commercial banks, what is deposit and credit multiplier, what are measures of money supply in India, and what is money multiplier model. What is significance of money supply? Economists measure money supply because it is directly connected to the activities taking place all around us in the economy. The amount of money in the economy influences inflation rate and levels of economic activity. An increase in the supply of money working both through lowering interest rate, which spurs investment, and through putting more money in the hands of the consumers, which stimulates spending, increases production. The money supply can be defined as the total value of money available in an economy at a point of time, or it is a group of safe assets that households and business can use to make payments or to hold as short-term investments. It can also be defined as the total stock of money that is in circulation in an economy on any specific day, which includes all the notes and coins circulated by the central bank of an economy and demand deposits held by the public on such a day in any commercial bank. Thus, in order to understand the factors that determine the supply of money, one must first understand the role of the banking sector, particularly the commercial banks, in the money creation process. How commercial banks create money? Commercial banks perform two crucial functions. First, they receive funds from depositors and in return provide the depositors with checkable source of funds or with interest payments. Second, they use the funds that they receive from depositors to make loan to borrowers. That is, they serve as intermediaries in borrowing and lending process. When banks receive deposits, they do not keep all these deposits on hand because they know that depositors will not demand all of these deposits at once. Instead, banks hold a part of the money people keep in their bank deposits as a reserve money and loan out the rest to various investment projects. The reserve money consisting of two things. First, vault cash in banks that the commercial banks keep the cash in hand to meet the withdrawal of the customers, and deposit of commercial banks with central bank of any country as cash reserve. The reserve deposit ratio is defined as the proportion of total deposits commercial banks keep as reserves. Now, coming to how commercial banks create money, we'll take an example. Suppose 100 rupee of currency in shape of note and coins is in circulation. To determine bank's impact on money supply, we calculate the money supply in three different ways. First case, no banking system. Second case, 100% reserve banking system where banks hold 100% of deposits as reserves and make no loans. Third, fractional reserve banking system. Case 1, no banking system. Public holds 100 rupees as currency. Therefore, money supply is equal to 100 rupees. In a no banking system, money supply constitutes notes and coins in circulation. Case 2, 100% reserve banking system. The public here deposits 100 rupees at First National Bank, and First National Bank holds 100% deposit as reserves. And since First National Bank keeps 100% deposit as reserves, it cannot be able to provide any loan. The balance sheet of the First National Bank looks like this: assets, reserves 100 rupees, deposits 100 rupees, and loans is equal to 0. Therefore, the money supply in the economy is currency plus deposits. That is, currency is equal to 0 and 100 rupees is deposits, total is 100 rupees. So, in a 100% reserve banking system, banks do not affect size of money supply. Now, coming to fractional reserve system, we'll discuss this case 3 in two scenarios. One, when there is a single bank. Second, where there are multiple banks. Now, in a single bank, let us assume the public is a Ramesh and he is depositing 100 rupees in the bank. And when Ramesh deposits 100 rupees in the bank keeping the reserve, assuming the cash reserve ratio is 20%, the bank keeps 20 rupees as a reserve to meet the withdrawal of the customers, and keeping the fraction of deposit in the commercial bank as cash reserve ratio, and the rest 8 rupees is giving loan to another person. Let the person is Rahul. So Rahul is taking 8 rupees as a loan, and in the second round, when the bank is giving loan of 8 rupees to Rahul, bank creates a loan deposit account in the name of the Rahul, and Rahul deposits 8 rupees in that bank. When Rahul deposits 8 rupees in that bank, then the bank gets a deposit of 8 rupees, and keeping the 20% reserve, that is 16 rupees, then bank lends the rest 64 rupees to a third person. Let us say she is Rita. So Rita now gets 64 rupees as a loan, and she deposits that 64 rupees in that bank. So coming to third round, bank now is getting 64 rupees from Rita, and out of the 64 rupees, bank again keeps 20% as reserve, that is 12.80 rupees, and the rest 51.20 provides loan to the fourth person. Let us say he is Ritesh. So when Ritesh is getting 51.20 as a loan, Ritesh deposits same in that bank, and bank is getting 51.20 in the fourth round as deposit from Ritesh, and keeping the reserve of 20%, that is 10.24, provides loan to the fifth person. Let us say is Raghav. So Raghav is getting a loan of 40 rupees and 96 paise. So this process will continue, and in the nth round, the total process will continue, and the credit created by the bank is like this. First round deposit is 100 rupees, second round 8 rupees, third round 64 rupees, fourth round 51.20 rupees, fifth round 40.96 rupees, and in total bank gets a total deposit of 500 rupees. Now, if we have multiple banks, we'll take the assumptions that bank is taking the reserve ratio of 10%, and one person is depositing 100 rupees in the bank. When one person is keeping 100 rupees in the First National Bank as a deposit, what the First National Bank is doing? First National Bank is keeping 10% of the deposit as the reserves. So the reserve is 10 rupees, and the rest 90 rupees is providing loan to the person, another person. And what the another person is doing, the borrower is taking the 90 rupees in currency. So in the money supply, in the economy, in the first round is cash, currency 90 rupees, and deposit 100 rupees is 190 rupees. How did the money supply suddenly grow? When banks make loans, they create money. The borrowers get 90 rupees in currency and asset account counted in the money supply. 90 rupees in new debt, a liability that does not have any offsetting effect on the money supply. A fractional reserve banking system creates money but not wealth. Now, when the person is taking a loan of 90 rupees and he deposited that 90 rupees in the Second National Bank, initially the Second National Bank's T account looks like this. Second National Bank gets a deposit of 90 rupees. Out of the 90 rupees, Second National Bank keep a reserve of 10%, that is 9 rupees, and the rest 81 rupees giving loan to the third person. The third person is taking that loan of 81 rupees and deposited in the Third National Bank. And the Third National Bank's balance sheet will look like this. Third National Bank gets a deposit of 81 rupees. Out of the 81 rupees, the Third National Bank keeps a reserve of 8.10 rupees, and the rest 72.90 rupees is giving loan to the fourth person, and the fourth person will take the deposit of 72.90, keeps a reserve of 7.29, and the Fourth National Bank provides loan of 65.61. The process will continue, and ultimately, in this example, 100 rupees of reserve generates 1000 rupees of money. So the process will continue, and the total deposit created by all the banks is 1000 rupees. Out of that, 100 rupees is the initial deposit in the First National Bank, and rest 900 rupees is generated as loan. Now, how this process is created? This is uh, discussed in detail symbolically. Let us say First National Bank deposit is D, where the First National Bank keeps a reserve deposit ratio of R. So First National Bank keeps a reserve deposit ratio of R. So rest D minus RD is provided as loan, and this D minus RD is equal to KD, where small k refers to loan deposit ratio. So this process will continue, and the total deposit will be D plus KD plus K square D plus KQD up to K to the power n minus 1 into D. And if we will sum this, we'll get the total deposit is D initial deposit multiplied by 1 upon 1 minus K, or 1 upon R. In our example, the total deposit will be 1000 rupees out of the initial deposit of 100 rupees. The total loan similarly can be calculated as KD plus K square D plus KQD up to K to the power n into D, and the total will be D whole into K divided by 1 minus K. And in our example, this is 900 rupees that is generated out of the total primary deposit of 100 rupees. The total reserve will be RD plus RKD plus RK square D plus RKQD up to RK n minus 1 into D. And when we will sum it, we will get D into whole into R divided by 1 minus K. And in our example, the total deposit generated or total reserve generated is 100 rupees out of the total primary deposit of 100 rupees. Now, what is the deposit multiplier? Deposit multiplier is the amount of total deposit the banking system generates with each rupee of primary deposit. It is the ratio of new deposit creation, that is delta D, to the increase in primary deposit with the bank, that is D. So now delta D is equal to R into D, or R is equal to delta D by D. The deposit multiplier equals 1 upon R, or 1 upon 1 minus K, where R is the reserve deposit ratio, K is the loan deposit ratio. In our example, R is equal to 10%. So deposit multiplier 1 upon R, 1 divided by 0.1, or 10. So 100 rupees of primary deposit creates a total deposit of 100 multiplied by 10 is equal to 1000. Now coming to credit multiplier. Credit multiplier is the amount of additional credit delta CC of the banking system generated with each rupee of primary deposit, that is D. It is also defined as the ratio of additional credit creation, that is delta CC, to the primary deposit of delta D. So the credit multiplier is delta CC by D, or 1 minus R by R, or K divided by 1 minus K. In our example, where R is equal to 10%, credit multiplier is 1 minus R divided by R, that is 0.9 divided by 0.1, that is 9. So 100 rupees of primary deposit creates an additional credit of 9 multiplied by 100 is equal to 900 rupees. What are the common misperceptions regarding the credit creation made by the banks? The simple multiplier 1 upon R is the maximum change in the money supply. In all probability, the final increase in the money supply will be far smaller due to leakages from the financial system. Printing money and creating money not the same thing. Printing money creates currency, but amount of money that exists at any point of time. The money supply is cash and deposits. The pivotal moment in the creation of money is a lending. When loans are made, money is created. It might seem strange that a bank account is a liability. To you, the owner of the account, the amount is an asset. But to the bank, who is to return that money to you on demand, it is a liability. One might confuse about which stage in this process creates money. It is the loan. If a bank does not loan out from a deposit, no new money is created. Now, this graph provides the information about the expansion of 100 rupees as primary deposit through fractional reserve lending at varying reserve ratios. As we observe from this graph, as the reserve ratio deposits decreases, the total money supply in the economy decreases. Now, a question for discussion. You get a scholarship of 5,000. You deposit the scholarship amount in your savings bank account. Assume the cash reserve requirement is 20% of deposits. The question is, what is the maximum amount that the money supply could increase? And what is the minimum amount that the money supply could increase? Coming to first question, if the banks hold no excess reserves, then money multiplier is 1 upon R, that is 1 upon 0.2, that is 100 by 20 is equal to 5. So the maximum possible increase in deposits is 5 multiplied by 5,000 is equal to 25,000. But the question asked, what is the maximum amount that the money supply could increase? So the money supply also includes currency which falls by 5,000, and the maximum increase in money supply is 25,000 minus 5,000 is equal to 20,000. Coming to the second question, what is the minimum amount that the money supply could increase? If your bank makes no loans from your deposit, currency falls by 5,000, deposit increases by 5,000, money supply does not change. Now coming to what are various measures of money supply in India? In India, Reserve Bank of India uses 4 alternative measures of money supply called M1, M2, M3 and M4, which was introduced in April 1977. The first money supply measure is M1. This M1 consisting of C plus DD plus OD, where C refers to currency, that is paper notes and coins held by the public. DD refers to the demand deposits, which can be withdrawn at any time by the account holders. And this demand deposit also include the current account deposits made by the banks. OD stands for the other deposits with the Reserve Bank of India, which includes demand deposits of the public financial institutions, demand deposits of the foreign central banks, and international financial institutions like IMF, World Bank, etc. M2. M2 now consists of M1 plus saving deposits with post office saving banks. M3 consisting of M1 plus net time deposits of the banks. And M4 is equal to M3 plus total deposits with the post office savings, excluding the national savings certificates. Debates are still going on as to what constitutes money supply. Saving deposit of post offices are not a part of the money supply held by some of the debaters because they do not serve as medium of exchange due to lack of check facility. Fixed deposits in commercial banks are not counted as money because of the lack of liquidity. Therefore, M1 and M2 may be treated as measures of narrow money and M3 and M4 as measures of broad money. All the above 4 measures represent different degrees of liquidity, where liquidity means ability to convert an asset into money quickly and without loss of value. Here, M1 being the most liquid and M4 is being the least liquid. Coming to money multiplier model. Money serves as medium of exchange and store of value and is supplied from 2 sources. First, central bank, second, commercial banks. Money supply from these two sources is interlinked. Money multiplier model helps to explain the money stock outstanding and its growth rate. Money multiplier model states that money supply, that is M, assume this is M3 in our case, is determined by the monetary base, that is high power money H and the money multiplier. High power money includes currency with the public, that is capital C, and commercial banks cash reserves represented by capital R. Commercial banks cash reserve have two components. First, cash reserve ratio, which banks are required to maintain statutorily with the central bank. Excess reserve, which banks need to maintain as cash in hand or vault cash. High power money and the money multiplier. Money multiplier model explains how high power money, basic money, forms the basis of money creation through monetary transactions between public and banks. The relationship between M and H is stated as M is equal to small mh, where small m is the money multiplier. The monetary base or capital H is determined exogenously, that is controlled by the central bank. And money multiplier small m is determined by the behavior of the public, the commercial banks, and the central bank. We know M3 is equal to MH, and this M3 constitutes C plus DD plus DD, and H constitutes C plus R. Therefore, C plus DD plus DD is equal to M whole into C plus R. Here, both C and DD are functions of the level of income and interest rate and assumed to be highly correlated. Public hold C and DD in certain proportion at any point of time. So C is equal to small c DD, where small c is the deposit currency ratio. Further, commercial banks hold cash reserves R as a proportion of their total deposits, that is demand deposits and time deposits. So R, capital R is equal to small r whole into dt plus dd, where small r is the reserve ratio. For simplicity, assume dd is held as t proportion of dd, that is dd is equal to small t multiplied by dt. Now we know C plus dd plus dd is equal to small m whole into C plus R. Putting the value of C, R and dd in terms of dd as derived in equation 5, 6 and 7, we have C multiplied by dd plus t multiplied by dd is equal to m whole into C multiplied by dd whole into R multiplied by dd plus t multiplied by dd. Now solving these equations, we are getting m is equal to 1 plus C plus t whole divided by C plus R whole into 1 plus t. Now money supply is equal to 1 plus C plus t whole divided by C plus R whole into 1 plus t multiplied by h. This m 1 plus C plus t whole divided by C plus R whole into 1 plus t refers to the money multiplier, where the monetary base is taken as the M3. Now, if M1 is taken as the monetary stock or monetary base, we have M1 is equal to MH, that is equal to C plus DD is equal to M whole into C plus R. Now, solving the value of C, R, DD in terms of DD, we are getting M is equal to 1 plus C divided by C plus R, or money supply is equal to 1 plus C divided by C plus R whole into H. This 1 plus C divided by C plus R is the money multiplier, where we have taken M1 is the money base or money stock. What are the determinants of money multiplier? Determinants of the money multiplier can be discussed from two angles. One is the proximate or immediate factors, and these factors refers to the three key ratios, that is C, R and T, which results the variation in money multiplier. Coming to role of C, or currency deposit ratio, the money multiplier and the currency deposit ratio, they are inversely related. If public prefers to hold a higher proportion of high power money in cash, that is C, and a smaller proportion of it in D, Ability of the banks to create secondary deposits and credit will be reduced to the extent it reduces value of money multiplier. What is the role of reserve ratio? Higher the value of R, smaller will be the value of M. If banks' reserve requirements increases, their ability to create secondary deposit and credit decreases. What is the role of T? Higher the value of T, smaller will be the value of M. Coming to the ultimate factors, the factors that determine the value approximate factors refers to the ultimate factors. They arise out of the working of the economic system and the decisions taken by the central bank, the public, and the commercial banks. Factors affecting the reserve ratio. R depends on CRR, or cash reserve ratio, and excess reserve ratio. Cash reserve ratio is determined by the central bank in view of the monetary needs of the country. Excess reserve is decided by the banks themselves in view of the demand